So welcome everyone here. Today we have the pleasure of being joined by both our good friends and partners over at Esri, as well as Sienna from our SAFE team as our presenters. I'll hand things over to Sienna to kick off our introductions.
Hi, my name is Sienna Emery. I've been at Safe Software for 7 years now, and I'm a customer solutions specialist. So helping you figure out how to do things with FME, and I'll pass it off to Bruce.
Thanks, Sienna. I'm Bruce Harold. I'm product manager for the ArcGIS Data Interoperability Extension, which is Esri's repurposing of FME form. I've been in the game for decades, still enjoying it. So now I'll hand over to Renato.
Hi, I'm a product engineer for Esri. I've been with the company for 7 years now, and prior to that, I've been with utility in the Southeast in the United States.
Amazing. Thank you to all three of you. And then as well, as usual, we will have dedicated time at the end for questions with our Q&A team and our presenters. So please do not hesitate to get any questions you might have during the webinar into that questions tab. And you'll see that on the bottom right. We also have the chat, so you can keep letting us know where you're joining from or share any comments there during the webinar. And also the react button. We love to see how everyone's feeling during the webinar. So please do share your emoji reactions. It fuels us as we present, and it's nice to see how everyone's reacting as we go. And if you have any audio or video issues, you can use that help button on the bottom left. It has 4 simple steps that you can take. All right, so with that, I'm going to prompt our presenters if they can please turn off their webcams to save on some bandwidth for the remainder here, and I'll take us through a brief overview of our agenda. So as you can see, we have a lot of segments, a lot of great content to cover today. We're going to be kicking things off with an introduction to today's topic, followed by feature service and metadata maintenance. From there, we're going to be going into a reader and writer demo. As part of that, Bruce will be taking us through attachments, as well as batch creating items in portals or hub. From there, we'll be wrapping things up with branch versioning before we go on to our wrap-up conclusion, and then we're going to be sharing some resources with you so that you can get started yourselves, as well as next steps, and then that dedicated time for Q&A that I mentioned earlier. I'll pass things over to Sienna for our introduction. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, Elizabeth. All right, so let's get started because we do have a packed webinar today. But why are you here? You're here to learn about the new ArcGIS Connector package. And I'll walk you through exactly what's in it, how to use it, and we have some great demos by Bruce and Renato later on that shows you exactly how to use these features to allow you to automate your workflows even better. So the ArcGIS Connector package allows you to publish faster, automate your metadata, and eliminate those manual bottlenecks when you're posting data to your ArcGIS systems. So today you'll learn how to simplify and automate your publishing to your various ArcGIS portals. And this could be any data set you want to publish up there. This could be using branch versioning or attachments or metadata, getting that all automatically synchronized between your various portals or from any outside source to your portals. So this will allow you to ensure you have consistent, secure, and accurate data across your ArcGIS environments. So what does FME do? Well, it allows you to build these pipelines that can allow you to streamline these complex publication issues into a streamlined, repeatable, low maintenance pipeline to get your data from your sources to your destination. In this case, we're in the ArcGIS environment, so it will be your various ArcGIS portals. And as I'm going through the webinar, you might hear us say FME form, you might hear us say ArcGIS data interoperability. In this case, you can use those interchangeably. So it doesn't matter what product you have, whether it's FME form or ArcGIS data interoperability, these workflows will work the same on both products So you can use either today. I believe I'll be demonstrating in FME form, and Bruce and Renato are strictly in the data interop world. A little bit more about FME if this is your first webinar. An introduction to our platform. So FME Form is where you build your data workflows. FME Flow, after you built those data workflows in FME Form or data interoperability, FME Flow is how you automate those workflows. It's how you deploy them and have them run automatically. And then FME Realize is a new product that we have that allows you to visualize your data in real time in the real world using an iOS app. And a bit of an unsung hero here, but we'll also be talking about FME Hub because it's essential for the improvements that we made to the ArcGIS formats and also the ArcGIS Online connector. So what does FME Hub do? Think of the FME Hub like a centralized marketplace that allows you to extend your FME. And when I say marketplace, please don't think that there's an additional cost to this because there is not. It's all built into the product, but it allows you to access additional content. And this additional content, it could be official content built by us. In this case, everything here was built by a developer. But you could also have community content as well that lives on the hub. Well, why do we post official content to the hub? It's really simple. It allows us to push out these updates instantly. So now we can update these packages in case something changes on the web services side, which allows you to stay up to date with our newest improvements for these ArcGIS connectors without you having to upgrade FME or data interop yourself. So it's a really great way to stay up to date without going through that manual effort of updating FME or data interop. Just like our built-in content, anything that comes from us will be developer built, tested, and maintained and ready for production use. If you go to FME Hub, you can see the new ArcGIS connector there. If you go and you log in, you can give it a little star. What the star allows you to do is get updates whenever the package is updated itself. So if you like to stay up to date on the latest and greatest versions, this might be a thing for you to try out and do. However, you can get FME Hub content directly within FME Form or Data Interop as well. So if you don't want to ever visit the FME Hub website, you can still interact with the FME Hub. So let's talk about the changes we've made. You might have noticed them already because we pushed these changes out all the way back to 2024.0, which I believe is the same version of ArcGIS Pro 3.3 if you're using data interop. Previously, we had built-in readers and writers for ArcGIS Online, Enterprise, and Server. These had overlapping functionality, which was harder for us to maintain and meant that you had to update your software if you wanted to get access to the new versions. However, now in 2024.0, we've unveiled a package which contains feature service readers and writers. What this means is we have one reader and writer that allows you to access ArcGIS Online, Enterprise, or Server. It's all built into one package. And with that, we also made new transformers as well. So to help you manage your attachments better, we have the ArcGIS Attachment Connector, which we'll be demoing later on. We also have the BranchVersionManager, which helps you manage your versions. And we have a new and improved expanded ArcGIS Online connector. And we're not just stopping there, we're getting enhancements requests all the time from either you on the community or directly from Bruce and Renato. And we'll be improving this as we go on. So the functionality is only going to get better from here. Let's talk about the ArcGIS Online connector, because you can do so many things with it. Before, I saw the ArcGIS Online connector as a way to basically upload files that were not feature services to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. But you can do so much more with it. Thanks a lot to Renato and Bruce for making these requests to improve the functionality of this transformer. So yes, you can do file management, which is like uploading, downloading, deleting files or folders. But you can also gain insight into the content that lives on your ArcGIS Online or your ArcGIS Enterprise. This allows you to list folders and items, or also retrieve and set metadata on those items. It also allows you to collaborate and share your various items across your organization. So again, just a streamlined way to do your full publishing process without additional steps. So everything can be done within the workspace now. We also allow you to publish supported items to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise as well. Again, once you open FME, if you're in 2024.0 and above, if you type in feature service now, you'll see a lot of readers and writers. We're in a bit of a messy transition right now. So eventually we will not show the previous readers and writers within the gallery. But for right now, you will see everything. So you can still select and use these readers and writers. But if you want to use the new version, type in feature service and scroll down to the bottom of the list. That will show off the new feature service readers and writers. A good way to tell if you're connecting to the package is above the title, you'll see like a little package icon with a version of the package. You can download that and use it, try it out, let us know how you feel about it. And again, we just have these new transformers, which we'll be demoing. So the branch version manager and the attachment connector. A little bit of a note. So there is a breaking change ahead. And I'd recommend you click on that article and you follow these steps listed in the article to learn how to work with the new web services that we created for the new format and the new package. And Elizabeth chatted that out as well. So you can go ahead and save that link. But just a note here, so we did create new web services for this package, and you can identify which are the new web services, because if you look at your web services dialog, they'll all end in safe.esri-eagle. So this applies to everything, whether you're using the format, the ArcGIS Online connector, the attachment connector, or the branch version manager. You won't be able to use the older web services with the new package. So you'll have to do some work there to set those up. A little note about the web services and what they are. So typically, I always use the OAuth web services because it works for us. If you're using ArcGIS Online, the OAuth web service is probably the way to go, unless you have a special workflow. And for portal, it depends on what authentication method your portal is using. So sometimes the OAuth web service will work properly, sometimes it won't. But we have full details in the articles linked below about how to set up these web services and how to use them. The other web services we have, so we have two token-based web services. So here you're either exchanging a username and password, or you're exchanging a token you've created to get a new token. We also have the ArcGIS login methodology, and this is typically if you're using NTLM authentication in your enterprise. So again, what web service you use typically depends on how your enterprise is set up. And with that, I'll pass it off to Bruce.
Thanks, Sienna. So maintaining both your data and your metadata in one workspace. So the goal is to write data and metadata and maintain it on a continuous basis. Previously, there wasn't enough tooling to do that within the ETL workspaces. The Esri ArcGIS Connector provides the required functionality to do that, and the end result is happiness. Data and metadata is easily automated. So I believe right now, Elizabeth, I can go to demo. So we are browsing the Open Data Portal site for City of Vancouver, SAFE's hometown. We're looking at 194 available data sets. We can scroll manually and choose them. On the left, there are various filters to refine the ones we have visible. And we can also download the whole catalog as a spreadsheet. If I go to sorting by popularity, you can see issued building permits, and that's the data source we're going to turn into an information product, a hosted feature layer in ArcGIS Online. There's rich metadata available in the site, including some hyperlinks there to take you elsewhere in Vancouver's systems. We can set a filter, I'm interested, say, in just this year's building permits, and we can look at the data in tabular form. You'll see that the issue date is only 2025. We can have a look at a map. It's a leaflet map. There's some point aggregation going on. As you zoom in, you can see more data. All is good. And we can export, which is where the ETL comes in. So with the filter on, I can grab a hyperlink or a link throw for GeoJSON for just those records. That's my beginning point for this information product, which is made with relationship classes and symbology in Pro from an ETL space with the GeoJSON. So there it is as my map product in online. It's rendered. You can see the legend off on the right, type of work as a field in the data. And we've got dots on the map. We can see that it's got quite rich attribution. All is good. So that's our information product we want to maintain on a continuous basis because building permits come and go every day. Here's the item home page in ArcGIS Online. That's the feature service we're going to maintain in ArcGIS Pro. It's the same data. I'll just go up in the content pane there and show the properties for the feature service layer. You can see it's coming there from ArcGIS Online. So how do we maintain that with an ETL tool? Now, in Pro, you see off on the right there, a special ETL tool, we call them, which is an FME workspace, can be a geoprocessing tool inside Pro. And I've got two there. I'll edit the one which we use to maintain the data. It's very simple. On the left, we're reading GeoJSON. We're splitting the data, actually flattening the GeoJSON into a few layers, and see with the connector, what can we do with that? Star of the show. What does it provide us that we're going to use in the workspace? The connector transformer, which lets me edit metadata, feature service reader and writer. It's now been rationalized down from 3 down to 1, sorry. The attachment connector, which Renato will demo. Sienna's going to show the branch version manager, and if time permits, we'll use ArcGIS Online as a web file system. So there's a whole lot of rich functionality. So I've split up the, where the action happens is in a few bookmarks here. We will zoom into the right changes one here. Like I said, we flatten the GeoJSON into 3 layers in the feature service. So to do change detection, get efficient right, we will read the data coming from the feature service and write the changes. See, the FME DB operation is available to us as a format attribute, so I can do insert, updates, and deletes to the 3 layers separately, and it's using that one feature service format. Okay, you see the summary port and write changes sends out a feature which I can use to trigger update of the metadata. So that reads a CSV file from Vancouver's site, extracts the metadata for the entry, and lets me apply the metadata to the appropriate areas in the system metadata. Let's run the tool here. Well, this generally takes 20 or 30 seconds. We see, what do you see? 3595 features for today from Vancouver's site. They've arrived from the GeoJSON. We're reading them for the current state of the feature service with the readers that you see in the workspace. The delta is calculated and written out. So a few fewer features, a few more added, 142 added, and some updates and deletes. And one feature is sent out by the ArcGIS Online connector to set the metadata for the information product. So if we look at the attribute table for the feature service, all 3595 landed. I've got no caching going on, so that's immediately available to us. If I go over to the item home page for the feature service, then my metadata has landed. Beautiful. So if the data or metadata changes on a daily basis, we can keep it all up to date. So that wasn't hard, was it? You now have a way forward. Okay, I think that is my demo, Elizabeth. All right.
All right. Feature attachments is a file that are linked to individual features in the feature layer. There are several reasons why we use them, and we have a list of supported formats for attachments link on the slide, and we'll share that in the chat as well later. So our demo for that attachment is a portal-to-portal migration of a feature service with attachments. This workflow is typically for customers whose entry point to Esri products is through ArcGIS Online, and they are moving to ArcGIS Enterprise. So I'm going to go ahead and start my demo. This is our goal, and hopefully by the end, we'll be able to show the results of improved workflows with attachment. So first demo is a simple download to show how the connections are configured for this workflow. We start with the S3 feature service format, reading an ArcGIS Online feature service, and then exposing the ArcGIS feature URL format attribute. In the next transformer, we list all the feature attachments and expose the attachments ID as well as the sum of the metadata that goes with the download action item. I chose as an attribute option to store attachment because I want to create subfolders using the feature object ID. This is useful when you have attachment with the same file names and extensions. We can see from the Windows Explorer the results of this workflow. I create an attachment folder, and then each feature has its own folder name associated to the object ID. So that's a simple workflow compared with the previous way of managing attachments in the past. Our second demo is we'll raise that bar a little higher to achieve the goal of making this workflow repeatable. Make it work with ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise with one web connection user parameter and with minimum configuration to pick a feature service. It's expected that the workbench author has some knowledge of the hierarchy of the feature service portal item down to the feature attachment. This hierarchy is enforced in this workflow. Step one, during the runtime, we pick a web connection and list the user's content to filter the feature services. A single user parameter called SWeb connection makes this solution very dynamic and allows easy configuration of all attachment connectors and HTTP callers downstream. The result of this is a list of 91 feature services. And you can see in the slide how I configured this user parameter to accept the two web services templates that Shanna mentioned earlier, both using OAuth. And I'm just trying to show the preview of these choices for the default value for my user S3 web connection attribute. With that, we were able to run the next step and filter, identify the feature service with layers that have property has attachment equal to true. Our list down is 13 feature services. So the next step would be to call the feature layer and table query attachment endpoints with the parameter return count only equal to true. This will identify the feature service with total counts uh, of attachment per service greater than one. So we're down to 9 feature services, and you show on the table all the feature services and the number of attachment they have. And from here, we will stop at the breakpoint to configure our tester to pick the feature service from which we will want to download our attachments from. In part two, the attachments will be downloaded in the familiar pattern I showed earlier. With this demo, you can rerun the workspace again to pick another connection, to select a new feature service to download attachments from. We will skip this download part because the user's end goal is to migrate to an AGE feature service, and we will see this in the next demo. Part one is to read the ArcGIS Online feature service and write to the destination enterprise feature service. We need to do this first to create the features to be linked to the attachments. We only read 5 features from the reader. Once we have those features in our enterprise feature service, we can run part two. Part 2 involves reading the enterprise feature service created in Part 1, list and download the attachments for the ArcGIS Online feature service, join the features with your attachments using the feature joiner, uh, and then add the attachments to the destination feature service. As an option, an ArcGIS attachment connector configured with delete action is added to the canvas to connect and run separately from the cache of download attachment transformer to minimize storage space and save credits. To demonstrate these results, I will use the ArcGIS Enterprise Instant App Template Attachment Viewer to see the results of our migration. We see the 5 feature services as well as the attachment that we added earlier in our workflow. So hopefully that should answer some of the questions I've been asked on the questions, including writing to enterprise and adding attachments. All right, that ends the demo. Just want to highlight the lessons learned. We see that ArcGIS Attachment Connector help build repeatable attachment workflows. Migration from portal to portal is easier, and repeatable solutions can be done with the use of a transformer, whether you're using the ArcGIS on attachment connector, online connector, or HTTP callers. And reusable custom transformers make it easier. Right. Next section. Batch creating items in portal. When I refer to portals, it's basically it could be either be ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Hubs and sites are part of the ArcGIS system, and they're designed to help organizations share geographic information with the public or internal stakeholders through user-friendly web interfaces. To automate hub item creation, we follow a 3-step pattern. Read and prepare the data, create the portal item with upload or publish actions, update the portal item to create the hub item using share, set, and categorize uh, actions. We do not have the categorized actions yet, but we can use the HTTP caller for that. All right. We go on next to our demo. We are going to batch create portal items for sites and hub by automating the creation of these portal items. It is a tedious process involving numerous REST APIs and transformation, but thanks to the ArcGIS Online connectors, we have resulted to this goal was achieved and automation can be attained. All right. Our first demo, let's click on the demo. All right. Our use case is migrating an open data portal into an open data ArcGIS hub site. Hub automation involves creating new portal items and moving data. We will take advantage of the connector's action items, its action driven parameters, and its output attributes to allow us to daisy chain multiple actions using the same powerful transformer. Some of the actions have more than 2 attributes, especially the list. It's got a lot of good stuff behind it. Let's open our ArcGIS Online portal and look at the folders. We will store our newly created items. We have 3 folders and they're all empty. Let's open our hub site to look at the cards and how they are curated. We have 4 category cards that use tag queries, and our end goal is to populate each card with the portal items created in our workflow without any manual intervention. The 3 demo workflows that I'm going to show, it will follow the 3-step pattern I mentioned earlier in the slide. Demo 1 creates a series of document link URL item types as portal items. My data source is from an Airtable list of ArcGIS Hub resources, mostly from Esri blogs, videos, and other articles. I picked this source because I know that each row has a thumbnail URL and the HTML document will appear in the ArcGIS Hub browser. Step 1 is reading the data source and making sure that the URL link is active and returns the proper response code. Step 2 is creating attributes for the first ArcGIS Online connector with upload action. I use attribute creators to assign the values that will be used in the ArcGIS Online connectors. So it's a common pattern that I want to highlight here the use of the tag document link, which will result to the tag query. Step 3 is creating attributes for the share action and then share the new portal item from step 2 using the group ID as a value. The last step is highlighting the description to share, set details, and thumbnail URL into the ArcGIS Online connector transformer. While that's running, we're going to open our ArcGIS Online and look at the results. We see that the items have been created in the Hub Resources Links folder. We see the thumbnails updated. We click on one item and we see the description that was configured and written with the upload tool. And then we look at the other item properties and we can see that they're properly created as well. You see the tags, sharing level and permissions, the group name, the folder name, and the acknowledgements. If we go to our hub and click on the document library card, we see all the items that are tagged as document link. We click on one of the hub item and we see the document showing up in ArcGIS Hub's browser. If we click on view full details, we're going to see the rest of the item properties that came from ArcGIS Online item. All right, back to demo number 2. We're going to create another series of document link URLs, but my source is an Excel file downloaded from opendata.gov website containing a list of open data sites from various government agencies. I picked this data source because each feature has links to RSS and CSV downloads from the original dataset. Instead of converting these datasets, which I can, I created links to add to the description of the portal item. This tells us that the possibilities here are endless when you're migrating from an open data portal into ArcGIS Hub open data site. We run the bookmark. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are very similar to the first demo. We do the check if the website's online, and then we do the upload action, specifying therein a new folder to store the sample data sets from open data, and then share to org and group going to be the same, and then set details is gonna be a little different with the URL links that I created to download the data directly from the item itself or from the item description. This potentially covers an important gap we have with creating a portal item that requires multiple downloadable formats stored in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. This is a bit tricky with the concept of a portal item in Hub as an item with a single format. So by doing this, providing this link, we can be able to address a single item with multiple formats that can be downloaded by the end user. We're going to build results in ArcGIS Online and Hub. You can see the links there. And you can open in the Hub item. We do have a URL that's not well formed, and that's why when you view the document, you an error message there, and that's based from the HTML that we got from the source. All right, moving on to demo number 3. We are now going to upload multiple zip file geodatabase and publishing the zip file geodatabase portal item into a feature service. So out of 2 file geodatabase, we're going to create 4 portal items in ArcGIS Online. It's going to still follow the 3-step pattern, but this time we'll do it twice with a slight modification. Step 1 will crawl the folder path on my computer. Then we prepare the file database so each item is properly named and formed as a zip file database. I have two custom transformers that will do this. Once they are zipped, duplicates are filtered, and tester selects two file database to run in the next two steps. Step 2 is uploading the zip file database. Using the upload action. If you notice, uploading data in file database is quicker because the processing is done by the server and not the client. So step 3 is publish, and we're going to use publish that zip file database portal item into a feature service. So now we're going to open the results in ArcGIS Online. And if you scroll down to the item properties of the first feature service, all right, uh, we click on the feature layer and we scroll down the list of item properties on the right. You would see a new you would see a new property called created from Riverside, which is the name of the zip file database from which this feature service was published from. If I click on that link, I will see the same file database is also related to that feature service. When I go to Hub, if I go to my data library, I see the two file databases. When I go to the feature services card, I see the two feature services. So that ends the demo. Just reviewing our lessons. This transformer heroes are really the ArcGIS Online connector with lots of flexibility with all the actions that it comes with. And then the HTTP callers and ArcGIS REST API fills in the gap to complete a repeatable and highly efficient workflow. Back to you, Shanna.
Perfect. And we're going to end off on branch versioning. So saving the most exciting thing for last. What is branch versioning? If you haven't used it before, it's slightly different than traditional versioning in Esri. A big difference is users will have multiple edit sessions that are saved as versions, and those all get reconciled directly to the default. So in the diagram here, which comes directly from the Esri documentation that I've linked, you can see the green user and the blue user are both working on their individual versions. When they're ready, that gets reconciled back to the default. And then all of these versions are saved in ArcGIS portal. So they're all going to synchronize their versions back to ArcGIS portal. Some requirements on the geodatabase side for branch versioning, you're going to need a geodatabase that's 10.6 or later. You must have a global ID field, and you must have editor tracking. Again, full details can be found in the link provided there. In steps in ArcGIS Pro, this is what you'll need to do if you're going to start branch versioning a geodatabase. First, you register the database as versioned. After that, you're going to share a copy of that branch version data with ArcGIS Enterprise. And then finally, in ArcGIS Pro or FME, you can choose to create a branch version. In ArcGIS Pro, this is done using the tools. In FME, this is done directly using our feature service writer. You can choose to add a branch version there. In FME, you can use the feature service reader to read in your various versions. And then you can reconcile or post the different versions using either the feature service writer or the branch version manager. You'll want to use the branch version manager if you're trying to reconcile and post outside a writing session. And that's really where this comes in. Before, you would have to write your data and post and reconcile at the same time. But here you could choose to post or reconcile outside of that typical write session. So let's say you want to do that overnight, you could use the branch version manager to do so. A little bit about the branch version manager and a little side note. So I have a safer pet spotlight here. This is Gus. I believe he is a Cavapoo owned by someone on our HR team, and he also manages branches. But getting back to the branch version manager, it has 3 core actions. So the first is to list your branches and the various metadata. You can reconcile the versions using the branch version manager, and you can post as well back to the default. And then in the output of the branch version manager, we'll flag any issues. So this demo idea came from Trent. He mentioned to me that oftentimes users have a lot of different versions of their data sets, and they're not sure which one is actively used or not. And it can get really complex because you can have so many different versions using branch versions. So Trent's idea was to create a demo where you list out a bunch of your different versions, and then you do a little math in FME to see when these were last modified. And let's say you have a branch version that hasn't been modified in a really long time. You might want to inform the user, hey, you need to reconcile this, or we need to take a look at this data. So the demo will be pulled up here. So really simple, you're going to start off with a branch version manager. In that branch version manager, you'll have your connection, your action, in this case it's list, and a feature service URL that you can get directly from your feature service in Portal. So here I'm just going to my portal, my feature service, scroll down, and copy and paste this URL into there. After that, I'm going to add an attribute manager. So in this attribute manager, I'm getting today's date, and I'm doing a little math in here as well. Esri gives epoch time, so the time format that they choose is epoch time, which I believe is like time since sometime in 1970, or the seconds between now and 1970. It makes it really easy to do math using the date times, but it's really hard to read as a human. When Esri supplies these values, it's always in milliseconds. FME only understands it in seconds. So anytime you're doing some date time calculations in FME, you'll have to divide what Esri gives you by 1000. So let's open up the attribute manager and see what that looks like. Opening up the date modified here. So we're just doing some quick division. So this is the current value divided by 1000. And then I'm also getting today's time in epoch seconds as well. After that, we're going to add a date time converter. This date time converter allows us to modify the time in epoch seconds back to FME time, so we can use other date time functionality within FME later on. And in this case, we're using a date time calculator. So all we're doing here is we're taking our start date time and our end date time, and we're going to see what the result interval is in days. So I want to know how many days old since it was last modified. Next, I'm adding an attribute manager. Here, the attribute manager is just really cleaning up our attributes so I can write it out in an Excel file. And then I'm just rounding the attribute that was given to us. So just round that off so I don't have any decimal points. I don't really care if it's 2.4 days or 2 days. Next, I'm just writing this out to an Excel sheet here. You can see the different options for writing. So we could insert, update, delete. But in my case, I want to truncate my file. So I get a new file every single time. So I'm just setting truncate to yes there. Finally, I'll write out my Excel sheet and I'll view it within FME. And I can see when my versions were last updated. So I have my default that was last updated 4 days ago, as well as my edit version. And that was updated 4 days ago as well. All right, back to the slides. So my lessons learned here. The branch manager allows you to update versions outside of a write session. It also allows you to gain insight into what branches you have, and also helps you resolve conflicts between the branches. So in conclusion, we took you on a whirlwind today. We showed you everything that's new and exciting about the ArcGIS connector, which is on FME Hub. So whether you're reading and writing feature services, managing branch versions and attachment in any of your portals, whether it's Enterprise, Online, or Server, this can all be done by that package. And I'll pass it back to Elizabeth to wrap us up.
Awesome, thanks, Sienna. So I'll take us through in a couple minutes here through our remaining resource slides and such, and then we'll have a little bit of time to pick out a couple questions here. But yeah, if you're newer to Safe Software, we have been in the data integration game for over 30 years now across 25,000 organizations across the world that use FME and over 200,000 users worldwide. We connect it all data velocities, locations, types, and any AI technology. FME is the only all data, any AI platform. Okay, and some resources to help you get started. And I'll invite the team if they have any notes here on these resources, but I do know we wanted to highlight Bruce's blog. That's a great place to learn a lot. And specifically, we've highlighted how does data interoperability relate to FME? I know that question does come up from time to time. And so, yeah, definitely encourage you to download the deck and you can click through these resources. Awesome. And at SAFE, we are all about free resources. Check out our Academy for guided learning at your fingertips, as well as I'll highlight our webinars. We have lots of upcoming and on-demand webinars over at safe.com/webinars. You can also search depending on what you might be looking to learn more about. We've got literally hundreds. Next steps to take here today. Get in touch with us. We'd love to chat about anything data and help you solve your challenges. info@safe.com, and our accelerator course. If you are newer to FME, it's a great place to get started. All right, if you are a member of our community, we have a badge code that you can redeem today as a thank you for joining us. I will drop that in the chat now. And if you aren't a member of the community yet, we encourage you to take a look. It's a great place to network with other users alike and experts and gain solutions to your challenges. I know there's lots of forums and someone might have a similar question that you have over at the community.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Moyen, and I'll now be taking us through the live Q&A portion of today's session. And yeah, we have all of our presenters joining me on stage right now. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to get that into our questions tab. In the meantime, I do think we had a question come in near the end from Frank, and I can start a live answer, so that'll just be blown up here.
I think I should take that one. You hear me okay? I believe that'll be core functionality in ArcGIS Pro, so not really to do with the subject of this webinar. So if you follow up offline with your Esri representative, I'm sure we'll be pleased to help.
Awesome. Yeah, and then I think Lynn just had a question about the badge code. So that has been shared in the chat. And if you wanted to download the slides as well, it's available in there. Yeah. And as we wait for questions to kind of come in, I know we did receive a handful throughout the session. Were there any that stood out to you in particular? And if we wanted to elaborate on any?
So Lynn again had asked for about typical workflows. I commented in the chat that the Start tab in the Workbench application has examples you can explore inside the app. That's true for both FME Form and Data Interop Workbench. So that's a tip.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to Aaron. Alan had a good question about, can I call FME from Pro without data interop? And definitely, I think Bruce's answer there, or I think somebody answered, Renato, that's going to be simpler with the ETL tool to call FME. But if in your situation, Aaron, where you just have FME form and ArcGIS Pro and no data interop, you probably could do that with Python tool. I think, Renato and Bruce might know better how you could call. You could probably do that somehow, but that's a place where data interop would be stronger. And we shared a bunch of the blogs that show and compare and contrast the differences. But definitely invoking ETL tool from within Pro is much slicker in data interop.
Perfect.
Thanks, Phil.
Just to add on the attachments, a lot of the samples that are out there today still use the old way of downloading or attachments, especially on the Esri side. But there are, with the ArcGIS Online connector, SAFE started with several articles. And today, we still don't have a more current article for attachments that pertain to the ArcGIS Online connector. So this year, we hope we could refresh some of our attachment articles in our blog. So just be aware of that. There are a lot of blogs and attachments, and you may end up looking at the old way of doing it. So just take note, please.
Renato loves attachments. On the question Mingan puts up there, can FME recognize objects in satellite imagery? I believe that's one of the workflows that the AI transformers which are available can help with. I'm far from an expert on that. In fact, I've never done it. But I think we can probably help you out offline through whichever channel you want to go through, Esri or the FME people.
Sounds
Definitely,
good.
yeah.
Make note of that one. And then we have another question coming in from Jason.
Can you create view items using the new connector? I do not believe you can. So views are pretty complex things because they got extents, expressions, and sources, and so forth. So a lot of properties. However, once the view is made, I'm pretty sure you can manipulate it, like doing something like a delete. However, I put in a couple of places in the chat and the questions of using the REST API for ArcGIS to work with the views, not using the connector directly, other than I think the connection itself for getting the token you need for doing these operations. So there's a way to do it, but not packaged up inside transformers in the connector.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll just give it another minute and see if any more questions roll in. Okay. No, well, it seems that we don't have any more questions coming in, but we will leave the webinar running for just another 5 minutes. I know we shared out a few links throughout today's session as well, so please feel free to use that time to save out any links or just drop in any last questions. If we were able to get to your question, or if we mentioned that we would follow up with you after the webinar, we will make sure to do that. And if you have a moment to fill out our webinar survey as well, we do appreciate any feedback. It'd be awesome. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.